Cubs win, but they lose Cody Bellinger. Let's talk about his collision with the Bricks and Ivy and what that means for the Cubs. And should we expect him on the IL? Mike Tauchman, not one, but two opposite field home runs. Jordan Wicks getting it done again. The left-hander looked pretty slick. And is Yancy Almonte maybe the closer of the future? All that right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. That's a way of saying go Cubs, and let's get this thing started. Man, what a great win last night. Can they make it two in a row against our old divisional opponent, the Astros? All right. What do you say, everybody? There he is. Nice job on the show yesterday, by the way, young man. Anthony Pasquale, I'm Mick Gillispie. Was it fun? Are they different when you're hosting and I'm not there?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I feel like I kind of take more of the analyst role sometimes, which is something I'm not super used to just because all the years broadcasting, it's mostly on the play-by-play side of things. So then you feel like a little bit more of the host. But then you also got to provide the analysis too, because you don't have somebody else to bounce off of. But I know we talked about it yesterday, but Rhino getting the statue on Rhino Day, that's awesome. Looking forward to that. And we talked about some of the injuries as well and the way this roster is shaking out too.
Yeah, and one of those is Cody Bellinger. Rib contusion. He ran into the Bricks trying to make a play, and they don't really give. I know that you see the ivy out there, and it looks like it's padding. But having been out there and pretty much touched it, been there and right next to it, it's not much padding at all. It looks beautiful, but it's not going to stop you. He went back and hit his ribs. And now the Cubs have to figure out what they're going to do. And Craig Counsell talked about that post game. And basically how he shows up to the ballpark today is going to have an impact on what we should expect.
Yeah, so he had x-rays done last night, but want to give a quick shout out to his daughter. I believe it was her birthday, and he promised her before the game that he was going to hit her a home run, and he did in the first inning. So I'm glad that happened before he went down with the injury. But yeah, like you said, it was kind of awkward going back to the wall. He probably would have been fine if it was just his shoulder that hit the wall, but he was exposed because he was trying to make the catch.
Yeah.
And that's what ends up with the bruise. But they said yesterday the x-rays negative. So an IL stint will be dependent upon whether or not he feels better. Right now, Craig Counsell said he's super sore. So we'll play that by ear today and for the rest of the homestand. But, they dodged a bullet with Happ. Seiya's already on the IL. You don't want to be three outfielders deep in terms of injuries. That's just something you don't want to see.
Yeah, I felt like Happ. I was worried, man. I was really worried that Happ was going to be the next guy to be on the IL. And who would have known that the roster moves would have included Cooper being designated for assignment, which is something we talked about. It's not like we're shocked by it, but when Happ didn't play all weekend, we didn't see him Saturday, we didn't see him Sunday, and then you see all these moves, you're wondering what that means. And, it was kind of weird to take Mervis over Cooper. I'm not sure what the thought process is on that, but at the same time, it was good to see Mervis back in there again, and we'll see if he can do something. We'll see if he can figure it out like Bush has. And now I'm wondering if Bellinger goes down, are we going to have Pete Crow Armstrong coming back? Even though Pete Crow Armstrong hasn't really torn it up yet in Iowa, he may be an option. And Jesse Rogers asked Craig Counsell last night a few times about this and said, hey, Bellinger go on the IL. And he said, I just got to see how he comes back in. And so, that's one of those things that we're going to do. We'll see how he comes back in. And, when he comes back, who knows? But this is a big deal because of all of the other injuries that the Cubs have had. And the way that Bellinger belted that home run, the birthday bomb, we'll call it.
Yeah.
that was like just the perfect swing and everything. So, I don't know. My fingers are crossed that he's going to wake up and he's going to be all right.
Yeah, me too, because I mean, he's starting to get hot at the plate, and he's obviously this lineup's kind of most important player, especially with Suzuki out. But yeah, Cubs get the win regardless, and we'll keep an eye on his health. But a big reason why they got the win, Mike Tauchman.
Yeah.
They always say Apo Taco when you hit it to the opposite field. Well, he hit two, so we're calling it Taco Tuesday. Mike Tauchman, two opposite field blasts, a 3-run homer in the first, and the insurance run late in the game. Two bombs for him last night. And with, a guy like Seiya Suzuki on the injured list and Ian Happ banged up, you need guys to step up. Mike Tauchman's answered the bell.
Yeah, and Craig Counsell said that he was telling him before the game that his best spot to hit home runs is the other way, and he did it twice. And Tauchman's going to be a guy that's getting a lot of playing time, with Seiya out, and we'll see how he responds to it. Last year the Cubs don't get as far as they did without him, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't make the playoffs, but they got really close, and he was hot there for a while. And this spring training, I mean, they made it clear that he was going to be part of the roster, and it's because of this situation. So they have him. Let's see what he can do. Obviously, a big game, and when you add Bellinger's home run in there, all those home runs from the outfielders. So we'll keep an eye on it. If Bellinger goes on the IL, we'll jump on. Like we did yesterday. Breaking down all of the moves that happened and trying to figure it out and get you guys, some information fast. But yeah, great game for Mike Tauchman, no doubt about it. And also a great game for Jordan Wicks.
Yeah, Jordan Wicks was excellent. 6 innings. I think that was his first time since late last season that he got not only into, but through the 6th inning. Strikeouts, he had 4 of them. He's been a lot better at missing bats this season, but today, or last night, I should say, he was fully in command of his pitches, not walking a lot of guys, kept his pitch count down, which is something he struggled to do in his first couple starts this season. He was still getting the strikeouts, but he was also putting a lot of guys on via walk, and that pitch count was getting way too high, and he was having to get taken out in 4 2/3 innings, but got through 6, was a great reset for the bullpen, but also just a great thing to build off of for Wicks's confidence moving forward.
Yeah, I liked everything about the start for Wicks. 5 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. He belongs. He's proven that he belongs. He gives the Cubs a chance every time he goes out there. And I was a little hesitant when everyone was running around and, celebrating the Cubs and all these guys that they were bringing in pitching wise, because I wanted to see like what the long term was going to be, and now you got Steele when he's healthy, you got Wicks, you got Assad, you got Ben Brown, who they traded for, but they've gotten him ready. So you got to give him credit, and Wicks is a first round pick that they did a great job of developing. He worked hard to get to where he's at right now as well. But the fact that he's got that devastating changeup, and I mean devastating. A lot of people have devastating sliders or curveballs, but that changeup is just so hard to hit. It's a great pitch. I think it's the best pitch in baseball when you know how to throw it like he does. The guys like when Jake Arrieta was at his best, I remember watching him throw it in spring training. Randy Wolf was a guy, and I know some of you will remember Randy Wolf, that just had this changeup that looked like it would slow down. Like it looked like he would throw it and then – yeah. Well, Kyle too. In a different way with Kyle's, but these changeups that look like they're going like in slow motion.
Now, I think you're just flexing the ring doing that, Mick.
Yeah. Look at that right there, shiny, so shiny. But yeah, great start for Wicks, and I mean, it sets up the next guy on the list, and we'll see if and we'll talk about that in a second, if Tyone can follow up what he did last time. But we got an issue at closer. And we're doing the show. People were in the comment section. What do we do with closer? And a suggestion by you. You're like, what about Almonte?
Yeah, well, so when I was at the game on Saturday night, the second game of the doubleheader, it was Hector Neris that came out to close it. He got the save. He looked fine. So I was kind of expecting him to come out of the bullpen today and close things out. But after Ben Brown pitched a good 7th inning, they went to Mark Leiter Jr. in the 8th, and I think Craig Counsell pulled him a little bit too early last night. I I think the fielder's choice that should have ended the inning on the double play and then a walk looked worse than it was. I think Mark Leiter Jr. really could have gotten out of that, but he decided to bring in Yency Almonte to get the final out of the eighth. And I said to my brother, who I was watching the game with, why not send Almonte back out for the ninth? And
Mhm.
Tauchman hit the homer, so it ended up being a 5-run lead, so a little bit less stress than a save situation. But Almonte looked great, and that little curveball slider, I guess sweeper is what the official term is these days, just dives away from righties. He's devastating against righties. And I thought, if he could get command of his pitches, he's got closer stuff.
Yeah, and I said Daniel Palencia. He's a hard thrower, who's got he's got good stuff. He's just got to get that put away pitch perfected, and then all of a sudden he's a guy that maybe you could put in there. But the problem is, if it's not Alzolay, and we've debated whether it's his slider or his fastball or what it is, it's just not the same. I feel like the fastball just doesn't have the life it had last year,
Mhm.
and I just don't feel like the slider is fooling batters like it was last year. And
Right.
they're hitting him. The Cubs may have to come up with an option, or the other option was something that Tony La Russa used to do, and just pick the best matchup,
Yeah.
and try to win the game like that. And that may be an option too, or who's up,
Yeah,
who's
that kinda
freshest.
seems like something I feel like Craig Counsell would like to do is just, go on matchups. Like today, Almonte might have been just the best call for that ninth inning, and I know it wasn't a safe situation, but he's the guy they decided to keep out there. I know Neris has had some history as a closer too. I was doing some research, and obviously today's start, by Wicks kind of, eliminates that research because he was really good and went really deep, but so far this season, he's been really good the first time through the lineup and really bad the second time through the lineup. He's barely gotten through 4 or 5 innings, but the strikeout numbers are up. So I was like, a lefty with good strikeout numbers who can't go deep into ball games, that could be your closer. So that I was thinking maybe Wicks, but then that would put Assad and Ben Brown in the rotation, which I think both you and I would be happy about. But then he went out and pitched 6 great innings yesterday. So I think I'm fine with him staying in the rotation. But yeah, Almonte's an option. Alzolay, of course, if he figures things out. Neris obviously will be back toward the back end of that bullpen for sure. And another guy that I think a lot of people are excited to potentially see close, maybe not this year, but at some point, Luke Little.
Yeah, maybe Luke Little. There's a guy in Double A, Michael Arias, who's on the 40-man roster and has really good stuff.
Yep.
Talked about him today. Don't be surprised if he doesn't end up in the big leagues at some point, and had another tremendous relief appearance in Double A. So I'm guessing that he's probably not long for Double A. And then if you get to Triple A and you have success and you need pitching, and he's on the 40-man roster, reading the tea leaves here,
Yeah.
he's a guy that has the ability to do it. Or at least the stuff to do it. We'll see if he gets there. But the Cubs are looking for relievers and trying to find holes and guys that can step up and get the job done. And and we'll see. But yeah, it was good seeing the Astros back in town. Got them the first game, now the second game. The pitching matchup is going to be a little bit different, but 6:40 tonight at Wrigley Field.
Yeah, did you see that the last time the Astros were in town, Jeff Samardzija was pitching for the Cubs?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, Samardzija, Rizzo is in the lineup, Ryan Sweeney, Alfonso Soriano. It was
Yeah.
like over 10 years ago. And it just
Wow.
goes to show, I know he's not the most popular guy, but Altuve's had a hell of a career for the Astros.
I know. Yeah. No, like he's kind of on a Hall of Fame path. Um, yeah. I mean, he's been the face of that franchise, and they've won a couple
Since the
World
move.
Series. Yeah.
Yeah, and it all depends on if the voters hold the trash can cheating thing against those Astros.
Yeah.
Because I know Verlander was on that team, but he obviously wasn't a hitter, so he won't be a factor into that
Mhm.
all too much. Correa and Springer at the time were on like Hall of Fame paces, but probably not anymore. But Altuve, he's right near all those benchmarks for those second basemen. He's got well over 2,000 hits, approaching 3,000. So he's a guy that I wouldn't be surprised to see in Cooperstown.
If he gets there, he's a lock.
Has to
If
be.
he gets to the 3,000 hits, and I don't think if he didn't even get suspended for the trash can stuff. So
Yeah, nobody
there's
did
going to
except the
be, yeah,
manager.
right. There's no one's going to be held accountable for that, but he's had an amazing career. He's been consistently one of the best players in baseball. So,
Yeah.
it's weird seeing the Astros back in town, but it did bring back some old memories. And there's the pitching matchup tonight.
Yeah, Jamison Tyone gets another start. He was excellent in his season debut last week. So that's why you see 1-0 with a 1.8. He was very strong. Still probably on a pitch count somewhere around the 80s is where I'd imagine him to max out on as he continues to get stretched out. But it looks like the Cubs have a favorable pitching matchup tonight against Spencer Arrighetti, 0-2 on the season with an ERA near 12. So it's hopefully a guy that the Cubs are able to put some runs on early and often. He's another righty, so you can assure Michael Busch and probably Matt Mervis will be in there, and then some collection of Wisdom or Canario at one of the corners. But you'll see Tauchman in there again. Actually, maybe both Wisdom and Canario if Bellinger's down for a day. But it'll be something to keep an eye on for sure. But I'm excited to hopefully grab game 2 and take control of this series tonight.
Yeah. Good start. This, to a tough series. The guys that are getting opportunities are taking advantage of them. And I think that is a really good sign for the Cubs moving forward, because right now they have a ton of issues as far as injuries, but it also shows that this roster hasn't really dropped off yet. And that's one of the traits that Craig Counsell brought with them. So we'll see. I want them to get Matt Mervis going, because I've seen what he can do. I know he's a good player. It's just a matter of getting some confidence and some success at that level. And maybe he's the next Michael Busch. And remember, Michael Busch struggled a little bit at first and then he got hot. Maybe that'll be the same thing.
And we're talking about all these injuries with Suzuki and then Happ missing time and Bellinger perhaps missing some time and Steele, obviously. But Cubs are still 14-9, and all of their would-be win losses are all from the bullpen. So it's one of those things that this offense, despite some injuries, they haven't really missed a beat. And I think you're right. That's a tribute to Craig Counsell, but also these guys and the depth of this offense being ready to jump in when their number's called. So hopefully they keep it up.
Guys, get in the comment section. Talk about what you think. Are you worried about Bellinger? Are we going to be all right without him? Is Tauchman going to keep on hitting bombs? And how about Wicks in the rotation? Kyle Hendricks, who's going to try to rehab a back injury, and maybe that's why he's been struggling so mightily. But all of that in the comment section. Great to hang out with you guys on the Cubs Baseball channel. Thank you. Yesterday was a really great day for the channel with you guys watching our videos. Share, like, subscribe, and most importantly, let's raise the dub and fly it and go Cubs.